last elements of the Ashtanga Yoga, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi coming together form, they give a name called Samyama for it. But you know something, the Samyama is no longer new for you. You already saw that in the first chapter with a different name. Any of you remember?
Some of the reasons.
Ah, yes. Who said that?
She says.
Samprajnata state, yes. So the Samyama is essentially, what does it say? Vitarka Vichara Ananda Asmita Anugama Samprajnata. You remember that? Now here they are going to say Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi is equal to Samyama. What is the relationship between Samyama and Samprajna? Are they exactly the same or are they two sides of the same coin? Reflect on that. Huh? Two sides of the same coin. Exactly. Let's look at the root words. Once we understand the root words, there is great insight to be learned from that. Samprajnata is a state of complete wisdom, complete knowledge. And Samyama is the state of complete surrender to the inner being. Surrender with complete understanding. In other words, you become the cosmic aware being that is living for the sake of the cosmos with the awareness of the cosmos. That is the concept of Samyama, having that Samyama fully being. Okay? So you can understand the process of Samyama happens through the meditative process. So chapter 3 will describe the meditative process again. Not that you haven't seen it before. You've already seen it before. Where have you seen it before? Twice before you have seen it. The first part you saw it was in chapter 1. It tells you that as you begin the meditative process, the program that comes holds the other processes as a prisoner, right? And in chapter 2, earlier on, it has already mentioned in chapter 2 that it is by going into dhyana you oppose the effect of the kleshas, klesha karma, right? So now it is going to describe one more time how it is going to, the dhyana process or the samyama process is going to take you into samadhi. It's going to explain one more time. After that has explained that, then what happens? Then it goes on to explain how you get wonderful experiences from this. Walking through space, time, whatever, transcending time, all of this is going. And some of you in this room have experience of some of it, and not all of it. And there are many people who ask me this question, can we also go and experience? And the point that is made in this Yoga Sutra is, Patanjali tells you, it comes to you only to fulfill your dharma. And if you begin to think you are somebody great because you have gotten it, that is the first step of your downfall. Okay? Because we are all instruments of the cosmic flow. And each one, in order to do our duty, our purpose for which we are born, that is the reason it comes to you. Okay? So you see, it is very interesting. I make a conscious effort where what you will see is most of the people who are teaching Yoga Sutra, they will wear a jibba, a kurta, something, and they will come, right? And many of them will also wear dresses that go beyond that. Yes, whether it is something for the head or something around somewhere else and all of those things. And the thing is, you see, basically, the whole point is that all of that happens when you begin association of that with religion. and organization. Whereas when you think in terms of the experience of yoga, it is neither religion nor organization. It is universal in nature and it is applicable for anyone and everyone. Okay? And just because I am able to perceive something, in no way am I greater or lesser than anybody else. Right? That is the realization of yoga. And so anyway, this is where in this chapter 3, Patanjali ends by saying that the highest, you may think you have reached the highest, but the highest is a state that is a yet more beyond, and that state uses a certain very specific word that comes out of this Sri Vaishnava philosophy, the concept of pratipatti. You're probably familiar with the term pratipatti? No.
They call it prapatti. I think it's different.
Yes, actually they call it prapatti, but it's really pratipatti. That pratipatti concept is the idea of very close, being very near to God, which gives you the highest level of realization. And so this is the explanation you will see coming to it. And at that time you are of course supremely free. Many people have described the Sri Vaishnava, the Yoga Sutra philosophy as essentially Vishishta Advaita. Because what happens is the concept of being merger with God, as opposed to the concept of disappearing in one with becoming with all of creation. So, but this is where again we will come back to see the Yoga Sutras has space for all the three philosophies. In fact, it has the space for every philosophy of the world. It has space for Buddhism, it has space for Christianity, Judaism and Islam. All of them are represented over there because the spiritual reality is one, it's not two. Okay? So, with that as the thought here,
just one point. When you during the course of discussions this morning, you started about the klesha, that is the impurity.
Klesha, yeah.
Klesha. In Christianity, that's how they start with you are all sinners.
Yes.
And just as you say, never they all come together.
Exactly. And these are all age-old languages. The concept of program is, you see, when anything that binds you is called unwanted stuff. So you call it as impurity. Programs bind you. When you get liberated of the programs, you are free. So whatever is binding you, they call it as impure stuff. Right? That's about it. So with that as the introduction of the overview of chapter 3, let's look to this quickly. And what is going to happen is, when we look at each of the special abilities that people can attain that is mentioned over here, how people can learn to become invisible, how they can fly through the air, how they can know anything and everything and all of these things, you have to understand over here that all of these are mentioned over here not because everybody will get everything, but because when people get it, they shouldn't get confused. I have heard a number of people say this, that the third chapter of Yoga Sutras is an irrelevant chapter. In fact, one of our good friends who doesn't live too far from here, in McLean over here, he has a Swamiji friend of his who comes from someplace in Haridwar, who told him, tear away the pages of the third chapter and never look at the third chapter. Siddhis are no good for anyone. Because his understanding was that this is the way to attain siddhis. Okay? Whereas on the other hand, when we understand Yoga Sutras, that this is not the way to, it's not there to attain siddhis. It is there in order to understand that when siddhis come to you, and only if you, for your dharmic purpose it is needed, it will come to you. When siddhis come to you, don't get confused. You are no greater than anyone else. You are only an instrument of the divine flow. Okay? So when people lack that understanding, they think this is a way to get siddhis. Okay? So now, let's come formally sutra by sutra. We can go through quickly. Sutra number 1, Desha Bandha Chittasya Dharana. If you have your one point of focus in any particular place, that particular place is called the Desha. Bandha is being bound over there. Of the Chitta is Dharana. Tatra Pratyaya Ekatanata Dhyana. When there you are fully engaged, pratyaya, right? When you are fully engaged as if in oneness, then that is dhyana. Okay? What is the nature of dhyana? The nature of dhyana is mind is wiped out. Complete stillness, no thought. So what happens is you are focused in one spot, and what happens there? You become fully engaged with it as if you are one with it. Think of it, you're fully merged with it. That is dhyana, which means you have no more awareness. Remember from the samapati concept? Something like that. The nirvitarka samapati, everything wiped out. That's what you're talking about then. Tada eva artha matra nirbhasam swarupa shunya iva samadhi. Tadeva artha matra nirbhasam. And nirbhasam swarupa shunyamiva samadhi. Swarupa shunyamiva means as if the form has become white, gone away. Okay? And when the form itself has gone away and only the inner meaning survives, that is the stage of samadhi. Now, when we read the samadhi over here, we have to be careful to understand. When we first read the samadhi, that you remember he told you how, like you're in the stage of nirvitarka, how you focus on a subtle concept and then you merge into it. That's when that is sabija samadhi. You remember? But then when he said that, after that he went on to tell you that the characteristic of samadhi you need to have ritambhara tatra prajna, that the intuitive awareness must arise, right? If the intuitive awareness doesn't arise, then samadhi has not been attained. You're only in the dhyana state, right? The inner awareness, the connectivity has to blossom out. So here too, the arthamatra nirbhasam is the awakening of the inner connectivity that reveals the inner truth. If the inner truth is not revealed, if it is just blankness of mind, it is not samadhi. It is the state of dhyana. So the thing is, having explained these first through sutras, next says is Trayam ekatra samyamaha. So when all three of them come together, that is samyama, and you can immediately see point of focus is dharana and engrossment in it is dhyana, and from there when the inner meaning arises, it is samadhi. So effectively, this is the same as the samprajnata process that was said in chapter 1 has come again over here. And then from here on, he is going to tell us what happens when that happens and how you go about it. Sutra number 5, Tata Jayat Prajna Aloka. So once you conquer this, prajna or inner intuitive knowledge, aloka, enlightens, okay, comes out. So tasya bhumishu viniyoga. This is, its application is within any sphere that you want to go and question. Whatever you question, that's the answer you will have. That's the sphere of answer you will have. Trayam antarangam purvebhya. These three are inner relative to the previous 5. The previous 5, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama and pratyahara, are relatively outer in our physical existence, whereas dharana, dhyana, samadhi are relatively more inner to our being. However, tatapi bahirangam nirbijasya. However, even these three are outside the nirbija samadhi state. Nirbija samadhi state can happen only when all the programs within are completely gone. Highly purified stage is the stage of nirbija samadhi. Then you don't need a point of focus to connect. Like Ramana Maharshi, who am I? There it is, you connect without any right? With now the process of how These awareness, this happens, is being described over here from Sutra number 9. Vyuthana nirodha sanskarayoho abhibhava pradhurbhava nirodha chana chitta anvayo nirodha parinama. Vyuthana means to arise. Okay? So, Vyuthana nirodha sanskarayoho. Okay. We have to be a little careful over here. Abhibhava pradhurbhava. Okay. You see what happens is, you remember when you do any one-pointed focus, it creates a program. What does it do? It holds the inner program as a prisoner, right? So you have already nirodha sanskara. Whatever sanskara patterns are there, you have already held it as a prisoner. You have kind of opposed it. What happens as a result? Vyuthana. From there arises. What happens? Abhibhava pradurbhava. Abhibhava pradurbhava is whatever as a result. Now when you hold something, something begins to happen. Some thought, something may come from the holding process. That also, nirodha chana chitta anvayo, that too, you, whatever arises from there, you on a moment by moment basis, that too you do nirodha. Nirodha is a special way to oppose it, which means you just observe and don't interact with it. Okay? Chana chitta anvayo nirodha parinama. Essentially, what have you done? This is the state of dhyana, where what has happened is, everything that was coming, you're one-pointed focus. Whatever is coming, you're becoming a pure observer, not engaging. And then you go into a space where everything is wiped out, everything is gone out. That is the state of nirodha pranayama. Nirodha parinama is equal to the concept of dhyana. Okay? Tasya prashanta vahita sanskarat. What is it that gives you nirodha parinama? What brings it is, it comes as a result of new programs that have built in, the sanskara, new patterns. So, the carrier, vahita means carrier, okay? So, the prashanta is the deep inner peace. So, the inner peace carrier is the new patterns that are formed. Sarvartha ekagratayoho chaya udayau chittasya samadhi parinama. Oh. So now you have stilled the mind in the dhyana. Now you are going to go into samadhi. Okay? But what is the concept of samadhi? Connection is built. But answer has not yet come. Only connection is built, because he is describing in samyama process. Sarvartha ekagratayo. In every sense you are one point focused. Chaya udaya chittasya. What happens is, the chitta is the program system, right? It is trying to arise and it is collapsing. Chaya udaya. Udaya is to rise, chaya is to go down. It's coming up and going down because unable to function out, because your nirodha has happened, right? So in that state, in every sense, when it is one-pointed, that is called of the chitta, and the chitta is moving, and this thing is still that way. It is samadhi parinama. From there, what happens? Shanta uditau tulya pratyayau chittasya ekagrata parinama. Shanta uditau is from that quietness, shanti, what comes out. Tulya pratyaya, and from that shanta, as if there is an engagement in that stillness. In that engagement, what happens for the chitta, of the chitta, is ekagrata parinama. You know, here you have to understand that ekagrata parinama is the point when you are ready to receive the answer to whatever point of focus you need. Okay? Because what has happened is, the key word is engagement. Tulya pratyaya. You see what happens is, because it is completely, the piece is completely still, the chitta is trying to arise and fall, it is unable to move anywhere. Out of that, there is an engagement that arises, pratyaya, right? That engagement is the one that results in that one-pointed connection, and that's what delivers the answer. Okay? And now let's, when the answer and when that connection happens over there, right? What happens? Now from here on, you are going to see a lot of the siddhis come. Etena bhuta indriyeshu dharma lakshana avastha parinama vyakhyata. Out of this or by this, the indriyeshu means of the indriyas. Bhuta indriyeshu means, bhuta means anything that is created. So all the created sense organs of that, you can understand it's dharma, lakshana and avastha. Dharma means what? The, you can call it, you see, the word nature does not do justice. Dharma is the way in which anything is to perform. Okay? Lakshana is indicators. Avastha is the state. Okay? And it's parinama is vyakhyata. You can know the result of all of that is vyakhyata is thus explained. Okay? So when we look at this thing, what is happening? Think for a moment. You focus on a point of focus. The point of focus maybe is the cloud up there. You're looking. And once you focus into the cloud and you're able to fully connect into it, what are you able to see? You're able to immediately see where the cloud came from, when it came from, how the water evaporated and formed it, and where the water had come from. And so all of these things, the whole process you can see. I'm going to give an example which perhaps one or two of you here might have seen it before. Actually, Hema and I do it together all the time when we work with our patients. Is when we see that someone has a problem somewhere they describe, we tune in and we ask the question, where is the source of the problem? Huh? And immediately what will happen is, you can immediately sense where the source of the problem is. Okay? Now what happened is our good benefactor in Houston, when I was in Florida, he called me and he said, for 2 days I've been unable to sleep. Whatever I do, I'm unable to sleep. So what I did was, he always had a sleep problem. I tuned in. And what did we find? We found he had a chronic problem, and the chronic problem is, in order to go to sleep, what is the requirement? The requirement is we need to be able to make the cosmic connection. Otherwise you won't be able to sleep. Right? Now we haven't gone into the discussion of the different nadis over here. But some of you know from our previous discussion that the Atma Nadi is our cosmic connectivity. The Mukhya Pran Nadi along the spine is the source of our vitality. Right? So what did I tell him? I told him, clear the Atma Nadi for 1 minute, then clear the Mukhya Pran Nadi for 1 minute and alternate it a few times, and then you will fall asleep. He did this, he fell asleep. And how is this thing? Because I tuned into him and I asked the question, what was the source of all his sleep problem? And immediately I could see where the problem was. That the Atma Nadi was blocked and it may not be getting enough energy from the Mukhya Pran Nadi for the Atma Nadi to open up. So just this he did, and immediately.
What do you do for that?
We will deal with that later. It is just clearing the Atma Nadi and the this. What you need to do for that, we'll talk later. Okay. So the concept is, by tuning in, you can know the dharma lakshana avastha of anything. What is its nature and what state it is in, and all of that you can know.
Clinical diagnosis.
Exactly. Next is Shanta Udita Avyapadeshasya Dharma Anupati Dharma. Shanta Udita, that is out of this deep peace, what arises out of Avyapadeshasya that is what is indescribable. Dharma anupati dharma. So out of this, one who follows the dharma that comes is a dharma. In other words, here we can see the inner dimensions of the highest level of intuitive awareness to perform your this thing. The question you ask is, how can you know your own swadharma, what you should be doing, right? Nature, as I said in the beginning, nature has a way of unfolding for you. But as you are going into the meditative state, the inner connection automatically reveals it. So the two sides of it you can see right over. This is the advantage of doing Yoga Sutra in one quick shot with everything together. Krama anyatvam parinama anyatyeva hetu. If you have a different sequence, then you get different answers. What does it really mean to? In fact, what it refers to is the exploratory process of how you are going to go and reveal yourself, whatever, whichever direction you go, that's what will enable. But remember what? It's only sticking to one item that you ask. It's not revealing the entire existence to you, right? So it's only revealing one item at a time. Whatever you ask, that's what is coming to you. And it will tell you further as we go along that there is one stage where everything gets revealed together. Okay, that is also noted over there. Parinamattraya sanyamat, parinamattraya sanyamat atita anagata jnana. If you focus on the result and you do samyama over there, then in which case you know what was the past and what is the future that is going to come. Okay, so focus on the result. The result is this birth. So where did you come from and where are you going? You can focus it on you can get it. That is the idea. On anything. Shabda artha pratyayana itaretara adhyasat sanskarastha pravibhaga samyamat sarva bhuta ruta jnana. Sarva bhuta ruta jnana means you know that you have knowledge of every sounds that are there in existence. How do you know the knowledge of every sound? In other words, every language and animal language and all of those things is Shabda Artha Pratyayana. That means engaging yourself into all the sounds that you can hear and their meaning. And Itaretara means this and all of them. Adhyasa, that is basically you separately focus on each one of them. Sankarastha pravibhaga samyamat. You kind of mix them all up and then categorize them and then you do samyama on it. Then what you get is sarva bhuta ruta jnana. What it is, you don't tell me, but basically to some extent that we can understand, particularly people who come from a Sanskrit base. If you listen to any Indian language carefully, you're very quickly able to piece out other languages too. And similarly, people who come from European descent, if they have some understanding of Latin, they are very able to place other languages too, right? And similarly, you'll find quickly that people who know a German language, they are very, they can quickly identify all the Scandinavian languages too. All of them little similar. So this way, I would imagine that if you try to piece out what is the meaning of mixing up all the sounds and then separating them or categorizing them, and you do samyama on it, you will know all the languages, whatever it
Sounds
is.
like Nada Yoga.
Possible? Sanskara sakshatkarana purva jati jnana. Why? Sanskara sakshatkarana means by, if you look at if you can look at the experience or the outflow of the sanskaras that are happening, through that, in other words, focusing on whatever sanskaras are flowing at this time, you can know where things came from, what was the previous birth. Okay? And I will give you an example of this. On this, I have I have first-hand experience on this. Is if you see an event happening in your life, focus on that life and do on that event and do samyama. Then, in which case, you will know what was the previous birth from where this particular event happened in your life. What was the karma that was for? Okay. Now, pratyayasya parachitta jnanam. Through the engagement process, you are able to know the programmed entity of others, parachitta jnana. Okay? And you can understand that many of us here can do that, right? You focus on somebody and you can see what is their personality, their nature and all of that. You can read over there where the blocks are and all of that. Nachatat salambanam tasya avishayi bhutatvat. However, the support of that is the support of that which is the Ishvara. You don't have any sense of it because it is not in the perceptible matter. Only in the created matter you can go. What is outside the created matter you cannot get into. Kaya rupa samyama tadagrahya shakti sthambe chakshu prakasha asamprayoge antardhanam. How to become invisible? Antardhanam is the body's you focus on the body and you look at the focus on the body, kaya rupa samyama tadagrahya shakti sthambe chakshu prakasha. That is, whatever is the we are all being hit by light, right? The shakti, whatever the shaktis that are happening, we have shakti inside and we also have light, right? So what it is you hold that completely still and and you make the light not useful. So your inner vibration, you make it still and you make the light not useful, then in which case you become invisible. Whatever this means, right?
Hanumanta was supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
Big yogi. He could Mahima,
Etena shabdadi antardhanam uktam. In the same way, you can also make any sounds, your speech and your conversations, you can make them also imperceptible or invisible to others. Sopakramam nirupakramam cha karma tat samyama paranta jnanam arishtebhyo va. You can know when the end of life is there through arishte. Arishta is portents of death or omens. Or you can do by sopakramam is the current path, and the nirupakramam is the future path of karma. The current path of karma and the future path of karma, if you look at by doing samyama on it, you can know when death is coming. Maitriyadishu balani. This Maitriyadishu balani refers to sutra number 31, right? From the first chapter. You remember Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam, right? The business of this moderation relative to Sukha, Dukkha, Punya, Apunyanam, right? Chitta Prasadana. Remember? So that is the one being referred to. Through Maitra Adishu, that is by moderation, the beliefs where these four qualities are being, being promoted. You focus on the four qualities. That is, with all of these four qualities, you end up getting tremendous strength. Yes, through the Maitri, friendliness, through compassion, through Mudita, that is the internal joy, and through upekshana of all the other thing, you are able to get tremendous strength. Think of it. This is the strength of positivity. Any negative strength, the negativity only dissipates your energy. It doesn't give you anything. Baleshu hasti baladani. Out of the strength comes greater strength. Pravritya aloka nyasat sukshma vyavahita viprakrishta jnana. So, by focusing on the source light of anything, or by the awareness of the source light of anything, what you can do is, you can know anything that is subtle or that is hidden, vyavahita, or viprakrishta is remote. You can know that from the source light. Bhuvana jnanam surya samyama. By samyama on the sun, you can know, you can have knowledge of the universe and the cosmos. See, all of these we cannot fully know what it's being said unless you experience it yourself. Chandre tara vyuha jnanam. Through the moon, you have the knowledge of the array of the stars. Dhruve tad gati jnanam. By the pole star, Dhruva, you have the knowledge of the movements of the stars, gati of the stars. Navi chakre kaya vyuha jnanam. By focusing on the Navi chakra, you can understand the movement of the body within. By the way, yeah. Yes, Manipur chakra. The Navi, you see, you can understand the Manipur chakra is the seat of vigor and energy. Okay? And what happens is, most often when we do our bija mantras, that's where people need to do most, because everybody is having too much to do. Their mind is everywhere to complete so many tasks. Right? So,
but we don't do that yet. We don't do Manipur.
Of course we do.
Where, which sound is that?
Ram. Ram, ram, ram.
Oh, okay, that is Manipur. Okay, that is navel chakra.
Yes. Kantakupe chutapipasa nivritti. In the Kantakupa, the well of the throat, is the relief from this what do you call it? Thirst and hunger. Hunger and thirst, you have this. Kurmanadhyam sthairya. In the Kurmanadi, there is absolute stillness. Where is the Kurmanadi? The Kurmanadi is said to run from the throat to the navel, that area, parallel to the Sushumna Nadi. And there you have complete stillness. And you can understand when it's coming to the throat, it's connected to the Vishuddhi Chakra. And from an anatomical perspective, the gyros in the ear is what give you stability, right? Murda Jyotishi Siddha Darshana. Murda Jyotishi is when the light of the Murdha from here, you can see the Siddhas, Siddha Darshana. Pratibhatva Sarvam. Through Pratibha or enlightenment, you can know everything.
So, and a comment on the mood,
Yeah.
that is not open, the feeling of surrender is not there. That's why in every chants I have read, you have to surrender. That is where your executive cortex is there. You let go of your I.
Actually, I'll point out something over there. You see, what happens is, the Murdha, as you know, the Atma Nadi runs along the front. It runs through the Murdha. It connects to here. The Atma Nadi is fed. For the Atma Nadi to transmit and connect, it also needs prana. It needs energy. The energy comes from the Mukhya Prana Nadi. From here, through the middle, it comes here. It is through here it goes to. You see, when I said that somebody couldn't sleep, ask them to work on Mukhya Pranadi and the Atmanadi and the Mukhya Pranadi, this is the part of the place where the block typically occurs that we do that. So whatever it really is basically speaking to the higher connectivity that reveals some things. So whatever it means, unless we experience it, we don't know. Hridaye chitta samvit. Hridaye means the hidden inner part. When we understand this Hridaya, it is not the Anahata chakra, it is the Atma chakra. Hridaye samvit. Samvit means full knowledge. Okay? And this we look upon as the Atma Vidya, the seat of our knowledge base is right over there. Sattva Purushayoho Atyanta Asankirnayoho Pratyaya Avishesho Bhoga Para Arthatvat Swartha Samyama Purusha Jnana. How do you get to know about the Purusha, the inner being, the inner cause behind everything? You know the inner cause by everything through Samyama on the self and everything outside. So, and how you understand it? The Sattva Purusha, referring to God, Sattva Purushayoho Atyanta Asankirnayoho. You think of God as something that is not narrow at all, something very wide. Pratyaya, that is Pratyaya is the engagement. Avishesho Bhogaha. So your engagement is not specifically to any one thing, but completely everything. Para-arthatvat. So you think of it in terms of not yourself, but everything else, and yourself. Swartha samyama. So everything else and you together, when you do the samyama process, that's when you understand what is the true nature, who is the Purusha, beyond. Okay? Think of it for a moment logically, and again, these are not things that are figured logically, but if you think of it logically, if the root cause is one and the same, to understand the root cause, you should not only understand yourself but everything else too, because the root cause is one and the same, right? Tata pratibha shravana vedana darsha swada varta jayante. From this, you have arises enlightened. Shravana is hearing, Vedana is sensation, Darsha is seeing, Swada is tasting. And this word Varta is also comes in there. This word Varta is a confusing thing, because you see, normally when you look at this, you are looking at the five sensory perceptions, right? Now, the concept of Varta is not very clear, because Varta typically means conversation. Okay?
Or the message? Is it a message?
Maybe.
It's also communication.
It's also communication.
Yeah.
Varta is communication. And in this concept, whether it's communication or whatever, it is not very clear how it fits in within the five senses.
That's how it gets communicated. That's it's saying.
Oh, Swada Varta Jayante. Okay. Being
The
communicated.
message, communication.
That makes sense. Te Samadhi Upasarga Vyuthane Siddhaya. These are siddhis that come as arising out of the Samadhi experience. Okay? Bandhakarana Shaitalya Prachara Samvedana Chittasya Parasharira Avesha. How can you enter another body? You can do that when the reason for being within the body itself for you has become very light. Bandhakarana Shaitalya. Your presence within has become very light. Prachara Samvedana. You have the ability to project yourself. Cha Chittasya of the Chitta. Parasharira Avesha. You can enter another body. And I think some of you may know the story of Shankaracharya when he was having the debate with Mandana Mishra, they asked him, how can you comment on householder's life? You have not been a householder and things like that. How can you know this? And so Shankaracharya said, okay, I will come back. And he's supposed to have entered the body of a dying king. And he was there for a little while, and with the queens and all of them around. So and then after that he came back, and then he was able to answer the question. You know the story, right? Some of you may know. Okay. Then Udana Jaya Jalapanka Kantaka Adishu Asanga Utkranticha. By conquering the Udana Prana. Let's understand what is Udana Prana. See, you have heard from the Ayurvedic perspective or from various traditional perspectives. There are 5 types of pranas, right? Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, Samana, right? And prana, you know, is the vitality. Apana is, they call it as downward, but it is really basically muscular control. Because you see, muscles are related with the earth element. Okay, so they are muscular control. Then prana, apana, and then vyana is what they typically call it as circulatory system. But the real understanding we should have is that this is really, the circulatory system is also related to the biochemistry of the body. Okay? Now, samana is the one that anchors the inner balance, and that is your gene expression. Okay? And then the udana is really our cosmic connectivity, which is the source of our immune system and all of that. Now, once you have cosmic connectivity, then in which case the electromagnetic connection makes us very, very light. And as a result of that, once you have the Udana Prana is very, very strong, that connectivity, that lightness will allows you to go over water through bogs or swamp, or through over thorns, and all of this you can go over it, walk over without associating with them. Okay? Samana Jayat Prajwalana. Samana, we said, was the gene expression that gives you complete balance within, right? And so through that, what happens is, Prajwalanam, you can be fully energized. Shrotra Akashayoho Sambandha Samyamat Divyam Shrotra. Shrotra is the sound, okay? Akashayoho, the sound through the space. You are Sambandha Samyama, you associate with that. You can have Divyam Shrotra means you can have enlightened divine ability of the earth.
There's no medium in space, but I wonder what it means.
No. There is medium in space.
What?
Etheric medium.
Yeah, but the sound doesn't travel.
Yes, it does. It does. And that is the reason even when people are there in the moon and they have crossed beyond the atmosphere and all of that, when the waves travel over there, sound travels.
Maybe it's not the sound as we know it.
No. It is the same. Actually, what happens is, you see, we have to understand everything is electromagnetic waves. The nature of the electromagnetic waves runs in relative to the understanding of frequency. Now, certain frequencies, you see, you know the frequency spectrum, right? Now, what happens is, the radio frequency spectrum is at a level where the Earth has a ionosphere. What is this ionosphere? The ionosphere is, at every moment the sun is blasting its photons towards the Earth, right? Now, what happens is the photons carry with it, and as they are coming, there are very highly charged particles that are coming through. Certain particles, because of the Earth's gravitational field, they are unable to enter the field fully because of their frequency nature. So essentially, they are hanging around about 600 miles above the Earth. That becomes the ionosphere, and these highly charged particles are oscillating so much that they have become like a wall over there. So the radio frequency, which is also electromagnetic waves, which is also a particle, right? As the waves hit the ionosphere, they bounce off and comes down. And this is how radio frequency travels large distances, by bouncing off. However, what happens is, now if that is the case, you cannot do any communication if you're only working through radio frequency into when people go outside that, if you're on the moon and things like that, right? So how is this done? This is done at a different frequency. And so, and what is the medium for it? The medium for any electromagnetic wave to go through is that there is particle everywhere. It is the stimulation of one base particle of the other which causes the waves. So don't think space is empty. Okay? So now next is Kaya Akashayoho Sambandha Samyamat Lagatula Samapattehe Cha Akashagamanam. By associating yourself with the body and space and doing samyama over there, you become light like cotton wool, lagutula samapate, like you become like that, and as a result of that, you can go through the sky, space. Akashagama.
Just to interject a point, the point you made about the ionosphere around the Earth. Now they are saying there are so many satellites flowing all over, and if they all break up, and they're going to create a multiple smaller particle, it's going to kind of create a kind of sphere around the Earth. Yesterday,
Yeah, space debris.
yeah, space debris.
So,
whatever
it's
the
the danger
implication.
of the technology. Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's the-
that's going to impact yeah.
You see, that is why they are developing the technology to catch space debris.
Yeah.
They are
But,
sending.
Crash
Hey.
Yeah, it's a danger. That's what happens if you want to, discoveries and inventions and science.
Sutra number 44. Bahi akalpita vrittihi mahavideha tataha prakasha avarana chayaha. That is, if you think in terms of yourself as bahi means outside, akalpita vrittihi. Akalpita means unimaginable expression, vritti activation. Mahavideha, like you have a very big, outside, embodiment that is beyond. Okay. Then what you can do is the covering of your inner light, prakasha avaranam, will break away. Okay, if you do that. So now, what happens is, I think some of you over here may have done the karma cleansing exercise, right? That when it does through laser beam, you are cutting it out. Now here it is something similar. You visualize as becoming a big disembodied being, and you keep on doing that. That breaks away all the unwanted debris around. You can also think of it. You're identifying with the entire cosmos, and no longer as the physical body. And that becomes a purification process.
Is it advisable for everybody to practice that?
Try. If it works, let us know.
I don't want to experiment. You should.
See, all of them can work.
A lot of yoga techniques, like art of living people, they do those things in a special,
That's what of
but they don't recommend you to practice it on your own.
dance yoga.
That's the technique they use.
Yeah, as part of that. We do.
That's different.
We do similar thing in dance yoga also.
Yeah.
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 The expansion is different. Expansion.
It's different.
Yeah, expansion. Swarupa Sukshma Anvaya Arthatva Samyama Bhuta Jaya. Swarupa Sukshma, that your own form is very subtle. Anvaya, association. Arthatva Samyamat Bhuta Jaya. So if you think of yourself as very, very subtle and you associate with it and you do samyama on the meaning of that, then in which case, and if you think in terms of matter, what it means is, the matter idea is anything that is very subtle and small, the smallest particle. If you can associate with the smallest particle, you can conquer all matter, right? Tata anima adi pradurbhava kaya sampat actually it should be tata dharma anabhigata. That's not split properly. Dharma anabhigata. So tataha, that is from that, anima adi pradurbhava. You see, you probably have read from the discussion of various traditions that how yoga endows with you with 6 extraordinary capabilities. They are called, anima is small, laghima means being light, mahima is being very big, prapti is ability to reach anywhere, prakamya means achieve all desires, Ishatva, actually there are 8 of them, Ashtasiddhi they call them. Ishatva is ability to create anything, and Vashitva is ability to control anything, and these are the Ashtasiddhis. Okay? And all of these are there for you in order to perform your dharma. And actually it is interesting over here that you probably remember the story of Hanuman, that when he was a baby and he had all of these siddhis, he went towards the sun and he tried to do something he shouldn't be doing, and he got knocked out and all his memory got wiped out, and he needed to be reminded later in order to fulfill his dharma. All of these you have the ability to do, right? So this is the concept of, this is only for the sake that so that dharma is not dharma anabhigata. That means so that the dharma is not hurt. That is the reason you get these siddhis, in order to protect dharma. Rupa lavanya bala, and this gives you more insights into why these siddhis don't come to everyone, but yet if any of them came to you, don't get confused. Rupa lavanya bala vajra sahanatvani kaya sampati. So the body's wealth, or what you would call as the achievements of the body, are your form becomes very charming, perfection of the body, rupa lavanya. Bala vajra, bala, the strength is such that vajra sahanatvani, that is, if you have a thunderbolt hit you, you can still withstand that. Okay, that is what becomes your body's your bodily perfection or bodily wealth. Grahana swarupa asmita anvaya arthatvat samyama indriya jaya. Grahana swarupa, if you are able to grasp your self, and you associate with asmita, and then do samyama on its meaning, then in which case you are able to conquer your sense organs. Think a little bit about it. In the earlier one he mentioned, if you can focus on the smallest particle and do the samyama, you can conquer the bhuta indriya. Whereas here, bhuta indriya is matter, all matter you can conquer. Here he is talking about, if you can think about your being and who are you as your asmita, and use samyama on it, then in which case you can conquer your own senses. Tato manojavitvam vikarana bhavaha pradhane jayaha cha. Okay? Pradhane is referred to as Prakriti, the chief. You can conquer the chief as well. And what does it say? It is because of thus from the previous coming from that, you can actually move at the speed of the thought. Manojavitvam. You can move at the speed of the mind, as if you are not an instrument, as if you are a very special instrument. Vikarana bhava, Vikarana bhava, as if you were a very special instrument, and you can conquer all of Prakriti or all of creation also. Now here is where the higher levels of realization comes. Sattva Purusha Anyatha Khyati Matrasya Sarva Bhava Adhishtatritvam Sarva Jnatritvam Shiva. It's trying to tell you, how can you reach the stage where you can have all knowledge, Sarva Jnatritvam? How can you do that? It is only with the Sarva Jnatra, all knowledge, and to be able to control everything. Sarva Bhava Adhishtatritva, all bhavas you can control. How can you reach that? Sattva Purusha Anyatha Khyati Matrasya. In other words, the Sattva Purusha or the pure being is something different. Only by that knowledge you can know that. You were saying something to that extent a little while ago. What was that you were saying? Okay. Tat vairagyat api dosha bija chaye kaivalya. Even though you have attained all of this and you have know this thing towards it, you are completely detached from it. That is the stage where you have complete liberation. Kaivalya.
I was just asking earlier, what's the point of Kaivalya versus being one with the God? There are two states, right?
Actually, what is very important is, once you understand the concept of Dharma Mega Samadhi, you will understand. You see, the key part of the purification process also leads you to have an inner sense of what is your role as part of the cosmic flow. That in itself is purifying. But if you are fully connected with God and you are always connected, then in which case the final state is there close to God. And if you are in that final state close to God, then whatever needs to be done by you is always possible. You go into the zone of infinite possibilities. So if people ask the question, what is the point of Kaivalya? The state of Kaivalya is to realize the pure instrument as our true being and being fully connected with Ishvara.
That
Is
is
the
the
bhakti?
state, but
I mean-
the purpose is not now.
The
right?
purpose is to fulfill the flow of Dharma effectively. You can understand that the reason why on a nightly basis we need for our programs, the cosmic program is dynamic, and on a nightly basis we get an update of it is largely because everyone at every time is not being dharmic. So wherever people do something that takes it away from the cosmic flow, so the other people, the cosmic program needs to just adapt a little bit so that everybody is slightly reprogrammed to bring the cosmic program back into its flow. And unless there are enough people who are able to maintain that connection and the dharmic process, it may go completely off the flow, right? That is the...
I mean, is it also related to bhakti? I mean, some may prefer just want to be with God. I mean, God just be there for eternity, like Kaivalya. It could be, they may not have any dharmic no other than just being with that Purusha, whatever, God. So I don't know. I mean, there are stories, Puranas do say they completely merge with the God.
You haven't come to the chapter 4 yet.
Oh, okay. That is where it is. Okay, I don't know. Right.
Tat vairagyat api dosha bija chaye kaivalyam. So with all of those abilities you can control, and that too you are completely dispassionate about, not attached, then that leads to the state of complete liberation. Pride in your achievement?
Maya means I am doing it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sangasma, yes, the concept of I-ness, if it comes in, then in which case it leads to unwanted association, anishta prasangat. So, in other words, that the sense of me as the importance of me and the pride will lead you to downfall. The next sutra over here is Chanatat Kramayoho Samyamat Vivekajam Jnanam. If at each moment, Chanatat Kramayoho, if you follow the sequence of each moment and you do Samyama on it, from that you will get enlightenment, Vivekajam Jnanam, the enlightened knowledge. Jati Lakshana Deshaihi Anyatha Anavichedat Tulyayoho Tata Pratipatti. I was telling you about the Pratipatti concept is when you reach a state where what sequence by which what you ask doesn't matter anymore, and that actually comes the next one is here, you know, depending focusing on something and trying to understand where the source is, Jati Lakshana Desai, and thinking of it as something different, and Anyatha Anavichedat Tulyayoho Tata Pratipatti. That is that by which one is able to distinguish when otherwise there is no distinction in birth characteristics, that is going beyond what you observe. That level of understanding is a high level of knowledge. Then the last sutra is Tarakam Sarva Vishayam Sarvatha Vishayam Akramancha Iti Vivekajam Jnanam. When you go to a point where you don't have to focus on anything to know, but without any sequence or just like that you can know whatever you want, that goes into the highest level of knowledge. And Sattva Purushayoho Shuddhi Samye Kaivalyam Iti. So once that level of purity is equal to the purity of the Sattva Purusha or God, that is the state of Kaivalya. Okay? So we'll stop over here.